too many handhelds. We got way too many handhelds to choose from. What's going on, guys? I'm Dave from Double Dragon Gaming, and today I'm going to try and help you make an informed decision on what gaming handheld you should get from the countless ones to choose from. Yes, this video will be talking about the ROG Ally X, and yes, the ROG Ally X is coming. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, it's on the day of or a few days after. This is going to be a video for you guys to make an informed decision, or somewhat of an informed decision, on which gaming handheld to get. Now, I'm not an expert when it comes to this shit. Like, I'm not running benchmarks and doing teardowns and all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm just an average Joe, probably like yourself, who is a sucker for gaming handheld consoles. I don't know why. I am just a sucker for these things, man. I can't get enough of them. I just love having the ability to play games portable and take it to work and in my bed and in the backyard or whatever. Yeah, I'm crazy when it comes to this shit. So while I'm not an expert in this area, to the point where I know like real technical stuff for each one of these, I know enough about the ones I'm going to be talking about, and including the ROG Ally X, although I don't have it yet, to help you make an informed decision. So yeah, let me start off by showing you just how crazy I am. So let's see, 1, 2, right? So we got 2 ROG Allies. This one's my girlfriend's, but got 2 ROG Allies in the house. So that's that. Then we got Nintendo Switch, right? So I got one of those. And PSV, right? And then finally, which I just got a few days ago, the Lenovo Legion Go. So what is that, 5 gaming handhelds? Why do I need 5 gaming handhelds, man? What is wrong with me? So yeah, got the 2 OG ROG Allies with the Z1 Extreme processor or whatever, and I've had them since launch. So I bought the 2 ROG Allies right when they first came out, right around when they first came out, and I've had them for quite a while. So while I don't have the ROG Ally X, I do have all the information necessary to help you guys make a decision on whether you should get that or one of the other ones. So I have a lot of talking points here, and usually I would do this as probably more of a scripted type video, but I'm going to be reading a lot of shit. So sorry about that, but I can't memorize this stuff. I don't have a teleprompter or whatever, so it may just, you're going to see me reading a lot of stuff. But yeah, so as I said, this video is probably geared more for people who have very little knowledge on gaming handhelds and either want to buy it for themselves or as a gift for a friend or family member. But I may be able to offer up something useful to people outside of that arena, so stick with me here if you like. I'll do my best to provide all the information I can in the simplest of layman's terms to help you make an informed decision on what to buy and which one I personally recommend. So there's a lot of choices here. Now, the ROG Ally X is not the ROG Ally 2. It's just an improved model from what we first got. So I figure I should say that first. So anybody that doesn't know, the new ROG Ally X, which should be available everywhere as of July 22nd, it's just like an improved version. So we got a lot of gaming handheld options out there to choose from. The Nintendo Switch, the Steamdeck, both the OG and the OLED, one of the few that I don't have apparently. You got the MSI Claw, obviously the ROG Ally, the Lenovo Legion Go. You also got like the one player X one, isn't that one? The one X player something. Then you got the Ananeo Kun. There's just a whole bunch, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be keeping it narrowed down to the Lenovo Legion Go, the Steamdeck OLED, which I don't have, but I know enough about it, the ROG Ally, and the ROG Ally X. So each one of these devices has its own set of strengths and weaknesses. So no one device has all the benefits, and it really comes down to the buyer, like what's most important to you. That's something to keep in mind when making a decision. So if you don't have any of these yet, or you have one, but you're looking at the ROG Ally or the Lenovo Legion Go, or some of the others, none of them have everything that you're probably looking for. Now, I'm not going to attempt touching on every single aspect in detail for all of these devices that I could possibly cover in this video. It would just take too long. Like I said, I'm also not an expert on the more super in-depth technical side of things, like doing benchmarks and running performance tests like a scientist, as I mentioned. I'm just an average gamer Joe. I just want my Ally to run as well as it can, and I do the best I can to make sure that it performs up to its potential and get the most out of the battery life when I need to. Like I said, I've had it since it first came out, and I stay informed on all the alternatives and the new ROG Ally X, so I know enough to speak on this stuff, at least, I think I do. Alright, so again, just one more time, this video is to help people make an informed decision on what to buy out of all these different gaming handheld devices, including the ROG Ally X. But we're going to talk about the Steamdeck to start, alright? So the Steamdeck, which has been out the longest and was one of the first ones to hit the market, has got its own custom-built operating system. So you think of it like this. It's more like a PlayStation or an Xbox type of experience, where it just works. It's been out a long time, and a lot of the bumps in the road and problems and issues have been ironed out. There's a strong community on Reddit for the Steamdeck, and people who own it really seem to love it and recommend it. It can also run Linux and has two models currently, the OG Steamdeck and the OLED version, priced in at around $800 right now for the 1 terabyte version, with less expensive models also available. So a lot of these gaming handhelds, like I mentioned, like the ROG Ally. So you got the ROG Ally with the original one with the Z1 Extreme processor, and then you got the watered down ROG Ally priced in around $400 with just the Z1 processor. So there's a Z1 Extreme and then there's a Z1. You got the two different Steam Decks, and they all have different like storage. You can get ones with more storage, but then you pay more for that. To my knowledge, there's only a couple different Lenovo Legion Go models, and they just have more storage space available. So there's just so many to choose from, so many different gaming handhelds, and they all have like different tiers to them, and so it's a lot. So I was thinking about getting the Steam Deck when it first came out. I'm actually surprised that I didn't. When I heard that thing was coming, and I love Steam, I have a lot of Steam games, I was like, man, I really want to get that, and somehow I managed not to do it. When the OG ROG Ally came out, though, I just couldn't help myself anymore, and we're going to talk about that next. So the OG ROG Ally uses Windows 11 as its operating system, which is great because it's more of like a PC type of experience, but it comes with its own set of headaches that PC users can attest to. So Windows 11 wasn't necessarily ever designed for gaming handhelds for that kind of use case, and there can be Windows updates that cause occasional conflictions from time to time. So something that you should consider doing right away after you've got the thing up and running and all the updates is to turn off Windows driver updates on the ROG Ally, or really any of these Windows-based handheld devices, because doing driver updates through Windows can cause problems, and I'll talk about that later. I did run into an issue on the ROG Ally with the Windows driver update, if I remember. There really needs to be a Windows handheld mode available for these devices. There isn't yet. Early adopters of the Ally have seen BIOS updates and firmware updates for the device that have resulted in worse performance for the Ally than where it first started. That typically seems to have been ironed out now, and it doesn't seem to be happening anymore with their updates, but it did for a while for some of us early adopters. But now that the unit is out of its infancy, a lot of these problems are a thing of the past. So the ROG Ally uses Armory Crate to navigate all its games, make tweaks to performance and controls. While it's not perfect, it does do the job well enough. It also has easier access to non-Steam type games having Windows 11. Although the Steam Deck can play a game like Diablo 4, for example, it is indeed possible. It's not as straightforward as it would be on Windows 11. At least that's my understanding of how it goes on the Steam Deck. Again, the Steam Deck has its own custom-built operating system that's tailor-made for the device. So it's more focused on the Steam type of games, but you can do other things with it. You can play other games, Xbox, for example, and Battle.net and stuff like that. It's just there's a little bit more work to it, but for somebody that just wants their thing to work, like an Xbox or a PlayStation, the Steam Deck is a really good choice. And so then we got the Lenovo Legion Go, which is the most versatile of the bunch, to be sure. So I gotta be honest, I just recently bought the Lenovo Legion Go and actually suggested my friend buy it as well, my friend Chris, and he did. He asked me for my opinion, and that's the one I suggested, not having it, but knowing a fair amount about it. So now I've got the Lenovo Legion Go. I wanted to hold off on making this video until I had used it a little bit so I could get familiar with it and see how I feel about it. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. As I said, the Lenovo Legion Go is the most versatile of the bunch. With detachable controllers, kind of like Joy-Cons like the Switch has, a built-in kickstand, a proper built-in kickstand, and it's got the largest screen of them all, coming in at a whopping 8.8 inches, compared to the ROG Ally's 7-inch full HD LCD display and the Steamdeck OLED's 7.4-inch display. The Lenovo Legion Go also utilizes Windows 11 as its operating system, and it has its own proprietary software to navigate your games and do performance tweaks called Legion, something like that. But the Legion Go is a massive monstrosity that can be difficult to hold because of the sheer size and weight of it. It is a big boy, for sure. Both the ROG Ally and the Legion Go use the AMD Z1 Extreme processor, making it about 20 to 50% faster than the Steamdeck in terms of its hardware performance. So again, these are newer devices. They're more current. The Steamdeck's a bit older, and so that's one of the strengths of the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go. They have better processors. Their hardware is more improved. The Ally and the Legion Go have different power modes for running on battery or being plugged in, and the Steamdeck OLED is kind of fixed in how it runs its games, no matter what you do. But in the end, when it comes to the battery, which is one of the more important things in a gaming handheld, the ROG Ally OG has the worst of the bunch, with a 40 watt-hour battery cell, and the Steamdeck OLED model and Legion Go both have 50 watt-hour battery cells that can last longer for your portable gaming sessions. With the Steamdeck having more of an advantage in this department because it simply is not as powerful as the others, so its draw on the battery is less. So one of the things that's very important is battery and being able to play without having plugged in. Alright, so that's the basic rundown on the OG ROG Ally, the Lenovo Legion Go, and the Steamdeck. And I know you guys came here to hear about the ROG Ally X, and we're going to talk about the ROG Ally X in just a moment. But before I do that, we need to discuss this first. So Asus, or Asus as it's really pronounced, but I don't say it that way because it just irritates me. People don't really love Asus for a lot of reasons, and it pertains to some of their other, laptops and stuff like that, but specifically the ROG Ally, the OG ROG Ally. Over the past year, there have been some issues with Asus. So if you're considering getting the ROG Ally or the ROG Ally X, you need to know about Asus if you don't already know. So the original ROG Ally, there was a flaw in its design with the SD card. Most of us know about this, but I'm going to bring it up, of course. The SD card reader, the SD card slot is positioned right here on top, all right? Right by the fan where it gets really hot, but, that was my thought, that it was getting really hot, and that's what was causing the issue, but I think that there's something else going on with it, like a bad fuse, I've heard. Anyway, the ROG Ally was frying SD cards, and it fried one of mine, actually. I had a 1 terabyte SD card that I was putting games and shit on, and didn't have a problem for a few days, and then sure enough, it got fried. And this is a common problem with all the ROG Allies, that the SD card reader just nukes SD cards. Alright? So that's a big one. Alright, so a big flaw in the SD card. Now, Asus refused to issue a recall for this thing. Now, widespread problem, right? Everyone's having this issue with SD cards getting blown up, and they don't do anything about it. They don't even necessarily acknowledge the problem. So they don't issue a recall, but they did provide a warranty extension for the OG ROG Ally, Z1 Extreme and the Z1 watered down version. So, that was a big problem. And, I'm one of the people that actually suffered that issue. But I just said, you know what, water under the bridge, fuck it, whatever. So I can't use SD cards in this thing. There's a serious community trust issue with Asus. They've got just bad customer service, trouble returning and repairing devices, and a lot of returns on the OG ROG Ally as well. So a lot of people returned this thing because they had problems and they were getting the runaround from Asus. And that's something you need to keep in mind with this thing. If you're considering buying the ROG Ally X or the OG, which is now a lot cheaper than it once was, you're going to have to contend with a potential problem if you want to, utilize your warranty. It's just they've done some shady shit, and people have had some issues trying to get repairs and stuff like that. Bad RMA practices. People feel that they just can't trust Asus, and people really fucking hate them. I mean, they're getting a lot of heat online, and they have been for a long time. So I had to mention this, right? If you're considering getting the ROG Ally X, just know that right now and for the past, you know, year or so, and probably going back even further, people have had a problem with this company when it comes to the warranty and, you know, utilizing the warranty and something like, you know, the SD card issue, which was a widespread problem, and they should have issued a recall on the devices. They didn't do it, and they kind of, you know, they gave us the runaround on that. You know, they didn't address the issue, and they wouldn't, you know, tell us what happened. And from my understanding, it was some kind of fuse issue, not a heat problem. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that too deep, but you know, nevertheless, that's one of the main things about, you know, the ROG Ally. But I'm gonna say this before I go on to the ROG Ally X. I love this device. I really do. I can recommend this. I really can, and that's only because I haven't really, aside from the SD card issue, which everybody's had a problem with, I haven't had any major issues with this thing. And I use this thing a lot, and my girlfriend uses it a lot. So it's not just me using this. I have another one, and it's being used not quite as much, but being used and utilized by my girl. And, you know, we haven't had too many issues. I have had some problems, and I'll try to talk about those in a bit. Nothing that's a deal breaker or a total game changer. And I haven't had to really deal with Asus as far as like warranty or sending it in to have it repaired or whatever. Cross my fingers, I don't have any major problems. I have had some issues. But again, nothing major. So at this point in the video, I am a fan of the ROG Ally, the original. So let's talk about the ROG Ally X. All right, the ROG Ally X has got some major improvements, to be sure. It's got a better, more comfortable chassis. So the whole thing has been by the way, this is the D brand kill switch case that I got on this thing with the kickstand. Doesn't have a kickstand. Oh, I should mention that. The ROG Ally, the original, has no kickstand, like a Nintendo Switch, right? No kickstand. But with this D brand kill switch case, you got a kickstand. And I don't know what I did with the cover, but it looks pretty cool with the cover on. Anyway, so going back to the ROG Ally X, it's got a better, more comfortable chassis. So they redesigned the whole thing. Not a big change, you know, it's just more comfortable to hold. It's a little bit heavier. I'm not going to get into the minutia of that, but they did alter the chassis on the thing. It's got better thumbsticks, better materials. The XG mobile expansion interface is gone, and they replaced that with a USB-C Type 4. So right here at the top, you got this XG mobile interface, which almost nobody would need to use. And I believe that's for a external GPU. The ROG Ally X has more memory, meaning RAM, at double the speed, so that's great. But the big one, the huge benefit to the ROG Ally X is double the battery capacity for much longer gaming sessions. Better thermals, larger heat pipes. Its board and chassis have been redesigned, as I said, and it can now fit a full-size NVMe PCIe M.2 SSD for up to 8 terabytes of storage, which is a cheaper and better SSD option than what these fuckers have. The smaller chip, I forget what it's called, 2242 or 22 something, 2232, I forget. Yeah, so the battery on the ROG Ally X is essentially double. Now that's the main problem with the OG ROG Ally, this fucking thing. You can't get much out of this battery. No matter what you do, no matter how you try to tweak things or whatever, if you're playing a AAA game, you're gonna get, if you want the game to run good, you're gonna get about an hour, maybe an hour and a half playtime, maximum. Could be less. If you crank this thing up all the way to its 25 or 30 watt performance mode, you can kill the battery in about half hour, 45 minutes. So it's a major problem. The OG ROG Ally has a major issue, and it's the battery sucks. And unless you're playing like, I don't know, some simpler games like Tunic. I've been playing a very simple game. As far as graphics and what it requires, like its draw on the battery and whatever. Sea of Stars, you know, Octopath Traveler. Those are games that you could, you know, dial things down and you can get an hour and a half, 2 hours of playtime on it. Or some, you know, emulator games like, you know, playing some Super Nintendo or watching movies and shit on this thing. For those purposes, you can get, you know, more time out of your battery. But if you're gonna play Diablo 4, which I've been playing a lot of now, or Starfield or Cyberpunk or any of those games, and you're not near an outlet, you're not gonna get much time. So for the ROG Ally X to have essentially 2 of these batteries, I believe there are 2 independent batteries, and having double the battery time is huge. It's massive. But the thing about the ROG Ally X that I'm not a big fan of is it's black. And I know that that's not a big deal to most people. Who gives a shit? And, you know, people say, oh, white. It gets so dirty with your grimy hands. These things, both my ROG Allies are, both my girls and my own, are pristine. You know, you wipe them down. This looks so good, man. This is why I bought this thing, because it just looks really good in white. It feels really well made. It's just a good device, man. I really love the ROG Ally, the OG. And I'm not a big fan of it in black, though. It's not, obviously it's not a deal breaker or whatever. It's not a big deal. But there's just some significant improvements in the X that make it worth getting and warrant the new model for sure. I believe they did this because they had to do it to compete with the Steamdeck OLED. Not sure if that's true or not. I think I heard that. I'm gonna try not to go too much into the weeds on this stuff. I have a tendency to do that. Some of the issues that I've had with my ROG Ally, as of most recently, as of today in fact, I tried to play, what game was it? Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man, and the fucking triggers weren't working out of nowhere. Triggers were not working. But other games like Street Fighter 6, triggers were working fine. I could not figure out what the hell was going on. It was pissing me off, dude. And I just uninstalled the games. Whatever games the triggers are not working for, I couldn't figure it out. I was working in the Steam settings, trying to figure out what's going on there, but when I'm pressing the buttons, the triggers or whatever, they were registering. So maybe it was something in Armory Crate. I don't know. But that's a, you know, minor issue for gaming sessions on the go. By the time you boot the thing up, get into your game and start playing, it's like 5 or 6 minutes, you know, if you've had it turned off. So, you know, if you want to play a game real quick and you don't have too much time, by the time you get this thing going, and then you run into updates, oh, this game needs to be updated now, I can't play it, or oh shit, why aren't my triggers working, or whatever. It just has like odd problems that I run into sometimes. I also had an issue, like I was talking about earlier, where Windows updated my graphics driver. This was a while ago. This was, I'm talking last summer. And I knew right away as soon as I started the thing up that something was wrong. And I thought that I fried my graphics card or the graphics chip or whatever that's in this thing. Turns out, no, Windows updated my graphics driver, which you don't want to happen. So I had to turn off Windows updates. I had to roll back or update my graphics driver. PC users know this. Like, when you use Windows to play games and shit, you can have issues. And as I said, Windows 11 wasn't necessarily designed for these things. And that's why they have their own proprietary software. You know, Legion for the Legion Go and Armory Crate for this fucking thing. That's why Steamdeck is a really solid choice, man. It just works. It can play just about any game. Although for like some of the games, Starfield or I forget. There are some games where it struggles, you know, because it's a little bit lacking in the hardware of what it can do. But you know, I have to say that, you know, although I don't have one, I know that the Steam Deck is a good choice for people who don't want any headaches and don't want any issues and just want the thing to freaking work. And it has a very strong community of people who support it and get answers to your questions really good. The ROG Ally community on Reddit is also very good, though. I've had some issues that they've helped me with, and people seem to be pretty cool in there. But yeah, you know, what it comes down to is I keep going back to this in my mind. For portable gaming, you still can't beat this. The Nintendo Switch is just, you know, it just works so well, man. Like when I bring this to work and I got some time to kill, all I gotta do is hit this button. Wait, is it off? Come on, go. And I'm playing my game. I'm playing my game in 30 seconds, which is, you know, it's just a strong selling point, man. I know that this is really not in competition with the others, but if you have no gaming handhelds and you're thinking about getting one, and you want something that really works well and is just easy to fire up and fast, Nintendo has a huge library of games to choose from. This is a great thing. You know, it's very lacking in its performance and, you know, its hardware, and that's why the Switch 2 is probably on the way. But yeah, I love my Nintendo Switch. I really do, and it's just really good for portable gaming. It's probably the best for portable gaming. Turn this fucking thing off. So you come here looking for information on, oh, should I get the ROG Ally X or the older one, or the Steamdeck, or the Lenovo Legion Go? And here I am trying to sell you on the old ass Nintendo Switch. But I love my Nintendo Switch, and I've been thinking about this all day. Like, most of the time, by the time I boot the fucker up and I start playing a game, you know, and then sometimes you gotta update shit and whatever, it's just, it can be a real pain in the ass. Anyway, I still love my ROG Ally, and I've been using it a ton. I use it all the time. Oftentimes, like I said, when I'm at work and I got some time to kill or whatever, I try playing a game, and, you know, by the time I actually start going, get going on it, I gotta turn it off again. And when I put it to sleep, sometimes it turns back on its own. Here's something that happened that really is fucking crazy. I was leaving work one night, and I thought I'd turn the thing off, and then hold on. So I thought I'd turn it off, right? And here's the D brand kill switch case. Put the case on it, right? The cover. The thing was still on. I threw this in my backpack, right? So now it's on, and I think it was still in the game. By the time I got home and took it out of my backpack, it's like 45 minutes later. This thing was like white hot. Like, it burned me to touch it. I could not believe how hot this thing got, because, you know, the exhaust ports were sealed up. So this thing, I'm like thinking for sure, like I ruined it. Like, this thing is dead. And as a matter of fact, when I took the cover off, it was like on a blue screen, and I think it was asking for like choose bootable drive or whatever. I thought for sure I fried it, and I got a break, man. I let it cool down, I waited a bit, turned it back on, and she came back to life. But yeah, if you got the ROG Ally and you got this D brand kill switch case, make sure the thing is off before you put this on, or you may run into a serious problem like I did. Yeah, so I wanted to do this video in a certain way. I feel like I'm going all over the place now. I really want to give you guys the most information I can. I really want to help people make a good decision on what to get. But before we wrap this up, and I really make a suggestion, this fucking thing is my pride and joy now. I love the Lenovo Legion Go. When this first came out about 8 months ago, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, I want it. I'm like, damn, why did I get the ROG Ally, dude? Like, fuck. I wanted this thing so fucking bad. It's just, I love, obviously I'm a sucker for these handhelds. I've got such a hard-on for handheld devices. But I need a bigger screen. I need the biggest screen possible. And I play a lot of Diablo 4. If you saw my last video, you'll know this. I'm playing a ton of Diablo 4. And on the ROG Ally, for a game like that, the screen is just too small. It really is. Your character looks like a freaking ant. It's so hard to read anything. You can play Diablo 4 on this thing, and I do plenty. But, you know, my good friend, my best buddy Chris, was asking me, like, what should I get? One of the main games he's going to be playing on this thing is Diablo 4. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to play a lot of Diablo 4 on it, get the Lenovo Legion Go. It's got the biggest screen. So, you know, when I got mine and I started playing Diablo on it, I was like, this is it, man. This is the way. This is the way to play a game like that. Certain games, you know, like Forza, racing games, or fighting games, There are certain games that are just fine on a 7-inch screen. It's still big. You know, this is still a big ass screen. I mean, if you think about it, not too long ago, the biggest screen that you could get in a handheld was the original Nintendo Switch. And I forget what the screen size on the OG Switch was. It wasn't until the Steamdeck came along that had a bigger screen, I believe. And then the Switch OLED, which is the one I have, that really stepped it up to 7 inches, right? I mean, Jesus. Let's take a look at this. Look at the size of this fucking thing. Look how tiny that is. People that love, you know, gaming handhelds like the PSP and the PSV like this, and some of the other Nintendo handhelds, the 3DS or whatever, they're all small screens. They're much smaller screens. But I needed a bigger screen, man. I need the biggest screen possible, without getting like out of control with it, you know? And this is just about perfect. The Lenovo Legion Go, the biggest selling point on this is the big ass screen that it has. And the detachable controllers. They're like Joy-Cons. So you can take these, pop these off, and it's got a proper kickstand. So hard, I don't want to drop it. Proper kickstand on this thing, like the Switch does. Right? Switch got. See? We all know this. We've all seen this. But the Nintendo Switch has a proper kickstand, and the Lenovo Legion Go has a really good kickstand on it as well. Even better, actually. Let me just finish here because we're already running way long on this thing. As I said, all these devices, they all have their strengths and their weaknesses. With the Steamdeck, the OLED one, it's you can get a lot out of its battery, and you know that custom built operating system that's tailor-made for the device is a huge selling point. And I think as far as like its community, and if you have issues with it, like warranty repair and stuff like that, I don't think you have too much of a problem. But it's lacking in its hardware capabilities, so it's not quite as strong in that area as the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X, the Lenovo Legion Go, the MSI Claw, stuff like that. So, you know, with the Steamdeck, you got 2 touchpads, which on the Lenovo Legion Go, you only have the 1 touchpad, but on the Steamdeck, you got them on both sides. ROG Ally has none, so you got no touchpads. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm all over the place. This is why I need to follow some talking points. I didn't go that far with it. You know, as I'm saying, like, they all have their strengths and their weaknesses. The Lenovo Legion Go, while it's got the bigger, better screen and the detachable controllers, and it's 144 hertz refresh rate on this screen as opposed to the ROG Ally, which is 120, I think. But the ROG Ally has VRR, variable refresh rate. This one doesn't. There's so many things. But the Legion Go, the speakers on this fucking thing are horrible. They're terrible, dude. I cannot believe my jaw dropped when I started playing this thing and I heard the sound that came out of these speakers. These are the worst speakers I've ever heard. I have never been so shocked in my life. I was just not expecting it, man. Like, holy shit, it is bad. So you got to use headphones. You have to use headphones or like a Bluetooth speaker, anything. You do not want to use the speakers on this fucking thing. They're just garbage. It was almost like, why even? I would have rather this thing had no speakers, and maybe they, you know, improve something else. I don't know. The ROG Ally, however, has incredible speakers. The ROG Ally sounds just great. I just didn't realize how good the speakers on this thing are until I heard the Legion Go and the speakers on that fucking thing. So as I'm saying, like, they all have their strengths and their weaknesses. While the Steamdeck has its own custom built operating system, and these other ones, you have Windows 11, which can give you headaches with updates and, you know, trying to figure things out. The Legion Go's got the bigger screen and detachable controllers and a really good kickstand, but it's much bigger and heavier, and the speakers are garbage. And the ROG Ally has a little bit smaller of a screen, but their speakers are excellent. Then you got the Switch, which is just, you know, the Switch is just excellent as a handheld goes. So, I mean, I could just keep going on, and there's so much to talk about, man. I could talk about this shit all day. I keep giving you more and more information, but at the end of the day, which one would I recommend now? And would I say get the ROG Ally X? Well, if you don't mind spending an extra $100 absolutely the ROG Ally X over the OG, for sure. I would say do not buy the standard, regular, original ROG Ally. You got to get the ROG Ally X for that battery life and the other upgrades and improvements that it has. So while I love the OG ROG Ally and I'm a fan of it, and I would say absolutely get one, just pray to God you don't have any issues, and I haven't. The ROG Ally X is the way to go, man. You absolutely got to get that. But between the Steamdeck and the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go, which one, right? Again, it's up to you. It depends on what you care about more. And if you just want something that works like a PlayStation or an Xbox, and it just works well, and you don't have to do too much, and you don't have to worry about too many issues, compatibility and whatnot, I would say get the Steamdeck. You know, get the one with the 1 terabyte in it, because that's the other thing with the OG ROG Ally, and I think even the X. The most that you get in these things is a 512, and 512 is too small, man. 512 gigs of storage space is too small, which is why I replaced mine with a 2 gig solid state drive in mine, which I will also do on the Lenovo Legion Go. I'm going to pull that 512 out because that's the one I got. I bought the Lenovo Legion Go for $600, had a 512 gig solid state drive in it, and I figured, you know what, I'll do exactly what I did with the ROG Ally. I'm going to pull the SSD card out, swap out with a 2 terabyte drive, because yeah, 512 is just it's terrible, man. You can get like what, 5 games, 6 games I have installed on this thing, and then you run out of space. There's a lot to consider with these things. There really is. You got a lot of different options and a lot that you can contemplate here. But again, if you want to get the ROG Ally, just know that Asus, with their customer service, there's been some issues there, and people are not very happy with the way that Asus has handled things as far as the ROG Ally goes. And I'm sure that the ROG Ally X is going to be excellent. Hopefully there won't be a problem with the SD card. I believe they're going to get it right this time with that, as far as that goes. The Steamdeck is just, I don't know. It's a good choice for sure. And the OLED screen probably looks gorgeous, and you got the 2 track pads or whatever. It's just, outdated hardware on it is what, makes me go, But I would say you can't go wrong with the Steam Deck. Like, you just can't go wrong with that either. It'll play just about any game. You have to dial things down a bit, but you're gonna play just about any game. And the Lenovo Legion Go, this is probably my suggestion. In the end, at the end of the day, you've come this far. You want to know my suggestion: the Lenovo Legion Go, for somebody that wants the biggest screen, the detachable controllers, and it's got a trackpad and everything with a good kickstand. Its hardware is solid, 144 hertz refresh rate on the screen. The screen looks amazing. I'd turn it on, but I just don't feel like doing all that. But that's why I suggested it to my good buddy Chris, and I was happy with that suggestion until I started messing with it and I heard the speakers, and I was like, what the fuck? What is this? This is insane, dude. So you gotta use headphones. You have to. But it's got 2 USB-Cs on the top and bottom, so you can charge it from either up top or on the bottom there, which is smart. And then this controller pops off, and you can actually use that as a mouse for first-person shooter games. You can also use it to aim and shit. It's got some cool things about it, to be sure. And the D-pad, pretty decent D-pad actually. Yeah, I would say the D-pad is pretty good. So, I mean, I could keep going, guys. I could talk about these things all day. Obviously, I love handheld gaming devices, and I'll probably buy more, But let me know what you guys think. What would you suggest as far as which one of these things to get? Whether you think the OG ROG Ally is still something that you should buy today, or if the ROG Ally X is like the only choice now because of the double battery life and the better RAM and all that stuff that they did with it. It looks like a really good, solid device. It's just the 7-inch screen. It's just I don't know. It's crazy. How is that too small? But it is. It's just too small of a screen, man. Especially now that I got the Lenovo Legion Go. When I go back to the ROG Ally, I'm like, this is just. It's still big for sure, but it's just not big enough. I don't know what the fuck it is. I'm just crazy. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. But Let me know in the comments, guys, what you would suggest. Help these people out and let them know, you know, your thoughts. I'd love to know what they are, and I hope this has been helpful. You know, this scripted but unscripted type video where I'm just, you know, I'm all over the place with this shit. I really wanted to get this video out fast, so I didn't take as much time laying things out for discussion or whatever. I'm sure I missed something important that I wanted to say, and then I'm gonna think about it later and be like, oh fuck, I should have said that too. If you don't have a Nintendo Switch at this point and you just want something that has a great battery that will last for a very long time, you know, out in the world when you're doing whatever, and you want to play some games and fire them up fast, you can't go wrong with the Nintendo Switch, man. The Nintendo Switch may still be #1 in the portable gaming arena for so many reasons, like I talked about. You know, again, when I'm out trying to play some games on the go, I can just jump back into a game so fast or fire one up so quickly, whereas I got to go through all this waiting. But yeah, that's it. That's gonna do it for this one. I hope this was helpful to you guys. I'm out of my mind, I know that. I definitely have too many handhelds, but what can I say? I fucking love these things. Anyway, that'll do it for this one, guys. We'll be back soon with more videos, more games to play on Double Dragon Gaming. Peace out.